Hey there guys and gals, my name is Jason Lanier and I am here to talk to you today about something that I think is fantastic news. I started shooting Sony almost 2 years ago now and I love it. But it's been a journey. It's been a journey of new lenses, new cameras. You know, you're talking about a whole new camera line really with Sony Mirrorless. And I jumped on when it was still kind of the teenager or maybe even pre-teens as it was kind of getting its legs underneath itself. And you know, over the course of the last 18 months, Sony's done a lot of work to really bolster their lens lineup. Now their camera bodies, in my opinion, are fantastic. I love them. And they've had to really bolster their lens lineup, and for a long time people had to supplement their lenses for Sony Mirrorless with third-party lenses, and a lot of them we're talking about adapters and Rokinon and all sorts of stuff. But Sony has seen the popularity of their cameras and they have answered the pleas, the prayers of all of the Sony users out there and are giving us more and more lenses. Why is today so exciting? It's not because they've announced a new G Master lens. It's not because they've announced, Sony had many announcements yesterday now. With the RX10 Mark III and the 70-300 lens. But what I really wanted to talk to you today was the fact that they've come out with a cheap lens. I think that's big news. I think that's just as big a piece of news as them coming out with G Master lenses. I just received this yesterday. This is the 85mm G Master lens, and I have the Zeiss Batis. It's a great lens too. But I couldn't wait to get my hands on this puppy, so I now have this. But as great as this is, and for me and my work, clearly the G Master 85mm, which is $1,800, is going to outperform a $250 It's going to outperform a $250 50mm lens. The 50mm lens is a message. It's a message from Sony that they understand where their users are, that they understand their users are going to want more affordable gear, and they're answering our prayers. I think it's fantastic. So I guess what excites me the most today about the announcement is the fact that we can see that Sony is going to build not only a full frame lens lineup that is a pro level lineup, like the 16-35, the 85 G Master, I mean all these lenses that me and others have. They're building out that pro lens lineup, but they're also building up a lineup that is above the kit lens level, which I think for most photographers, once you move into a little bit more serious type photography, you definitely move past the kit lenses. And then they came out with their own nifty 50. I think that's fantastic. I think it's encouraging news is what you should take away from this. Because when I first started shooting, it was Sony didn't have enough lenses. Then Sony started adding more lenses. Then it was, well, Sony doesn't have enough pro line lenses, so Sony started adding pro level lenses. The G lenses, the G Master lenses, the Sony Zeiss. Zeiss kicked in and started doing some Zeiss Batis lenses, which are terrific. And I think there's another one coming out really soon this month, if I'm not, or next month. I don't know, there might be. So Sony started really bolstering their lineup, their full frame lineup, and then the complaint was, that's great, but they're too expensive. And they are expensive lenses. Do I think that many of them are worth it? I do. But at the same time, not everybody has a full-time photographer budget for gear. I understand that. I'll just be real with you guys. And I could BS you guys and tell you guys that, you know, I've always had the best lenses in the world. I haven't. Back to my Nikon days, you know, I broke my 16-35, which, you know, it's like I don't know, I think it's a $1,500 lens if I'm not mistaken. I didn't have the money to replace it. I just didn't have the money. And so what did I do? I went and bought this 16-28 2.8 Tokina. I got it on sale at Sammy's Camera. And it was like $600 around Christmas time. It was like $300 or $400 off, if I'm remembering correctly. I'll be honest with you, that was a really good lens. It is a really good lens. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, even though I now have lots of great lenses. I remember what it's like to not have the money to have great lenses. I really do. And that's what excites me for the photography industry, is that Nikon and Canon already have all these lenses. So if you're a Nikon or Canon shooter, you're just going to go happily on your way and keep moving on. Because this is not an anti-Nikon, anti-Canon post. But if you have joined the mirrorless revolution, if you are into it, knowing that the leader in the mirrorless industry, which is Sony, and there's other good ones out there, Fuji and Pentax and Olympus, and I'm probably forgetting somebody, but I'm not trying to. But the leader in the mirrorless industry is Sony. And I think one of the main reasons they're leading is because they're the only ones that have a full frame lineup. So when they're adding full frame lenses, not only from a professional level standpoint, the $1,000+ lenses, but when they're adding not just those, but also adding affordable lens options, I think that's great news. I think that's great news for people out there who don't have the budgets. If I was a Sony shooter, and this was 5 years ago in my career, I wouldn't be able to afford a 55 Zeiss. I just wouldn't. I couldn't afford to drop $1,100 on a 55mm 1.8 Zeiss, Sony Zeiss. For the longest time when I shot with Nikon, I had the 85mm 1.8. I never even owned the 1.4. I could try to pull the wool over your guys' eyes and tell you I did, but I didn't. And I think that's why I'm excited for you guys, because I am one of you guys. I remember what it's like. It's not that was 20 years ago in my career. And I'm so excited that you guys out there have these options, because somebody watching this video, and of course we're always going to have naysayers, and that's just the way life is, but somebody out there watching this is going to say, really, Jason, you're excited that they released one affordable lens? It's just one affordable lens. Get a grip. It's just one affordable lens. That's true. But I would venture to say there's going to be a lot more coming. That is what's exciting to me. If you check back to my videos, whenever I've spoken about lenses, I kept telling you guys, Sony's going to bring the lenses. Just got to have faith. Am I a prophet for Sony? Absolutely not. Can I tell the future and tell you what Sony's going to do? Absolutely not. What I can tell you is this, just from a pure business standpoint, it makes absolutely no sense for Sony to not build up a very robust lens lineup. It makes no sense. If I was running Sony Mirrorless, I would be doing exactly what they're doing. I would build out all these lenses, because Sony understands, you know, part of the appeal with shooting Sony Mirrorless is cheaper bodies. You know, for the most part, the bodies are less expensive than their DSLR counterparts. Now, we could start a war over, well, the Nikon D7200 is X mount, and this is, I'm just talking in general terms, guys. I don't want to get into a thing about this camera versus that camera. I'm really over the camera wars. I'm over the gear wars. This isn't me trying to rub it in people's faces. This is me telling you, if you're a Sony shooter, this is great news. If you're into mirrorless, this is great news. I think it tells you that the future is bright. We've known that for a little while now. We've known that for quite some time now, but it's getting even brighter. And I think that that's very exciting news. Mirrorless is the only growing market in camera cells, except if you're talking about phones. We're not talking about phones. We're talking about cameras that you put in your hands and are not meant to call other human beings. I think that's great news. I'll talk about the 70-300 in another video, but I really wanted to talk to you guys about why affordable lens options matter. And I also wanted to relay to you guys why I love being a Sony artisan. I love being an artisan because I get to talk to Sony. Yesterday when we had our Sony artisan call, because when there's a new product release, almost always in coordination with the product release, there is an artisan call. Not always, but usually. And we're able to tell Sony, this is good, or we would like this to be done better. The great thing about, and I mentioned this on the call to them yesterday, I said, Sony, thank you. Thank you for giving my followers and everyone's followers out there the option to shoot with something that's less expensive. Because Sony gets it. Sony gets not everybody's going to go buy a 55mm 1.8 Zeiss for $1,200 or $1,100, whatever it is. Sony gets it. It would be my guess that they don't want to exclude photographers from using their cameras just because they can't afford a $1,000 lens. But a lot of the photographers that can't afford a $1,000 lens can afford a $250 lens. You know, and it's funny, I don't know what it is, but I just released a video yesterday comparing the 55 Zeiss, Sony Zeiss, to the Canon 50mm on my Sony a7R II. So yes, when this comes out, when this lens comes out and I'm able to get my hands on it, I will test it. Do I expect it to perform at the level of the 55 1.8 Zeiss? No, I don't. You know, one of the biggest concerns I heard people say over the years has been, since I've been shooting Sony, has been, well, look at Betamax, they'll just abandon the platform. You don't abandon something that's successful. Beta wasn't successful. It might have been a good product. I don't know. That was back when I was probably about yay high. But mirrorless is selling. Sony mirrorless is selling. They're not going to abandon something that's selling. They're going to continue to bolster it, continue to strengthen it, and I'm excited about that. DSLR users, no need for any hate. You guys want to use your DSLRs? Have at it. Seriously. When I tell you guys in my videos that I want you to find the right gear that works for you and I don't care what you use, I really couldn't mean that any more clearly than I say it. I truly believe that, because what you use does not impact my life. When I make a video talking about the virtues of a piece of Sony gear, it's because that Sony gear is helping me. When I make a video about how great it is that they're coming out with a cheap lens, it's because I'm happy for you guys out there. I already have the 55 Zeiss. Do I expect that 55 Zeiss users are going to go and run in droves to buy the 50mm 1.8? Probably not. But I do expect that there's a lot of people, that cannot afford the 55 Zeiss, and this 50mm 1.8, it's going to be a really welcome addition to the Sony lineup. But again, guys, this isn't really about the 50mm, it's the fact that they did it. It's the fact that they took the time and consideration to make a cheap lens, and I think it means we have a lot more coming. And Sony, don't stop. Don't be a lens tease. Give us these lenses so photographers who are not full-time, who are not like me, can continue to enjoy your awesome cameras and not have to break the bank. Because if these guys can get out there and use your cameras and they can buy 2 or 3 lenses for under $1,000 instead of 1, they're just going to love your cameras even more. I'm telling you, they will. This is why cheap lenses do matter. And it's why if you're a Sony shooter, you should be excited about today. Selfishly speaking, when the G Master came out, I knew I was going to get one. And I was pretty excited for myself. I'm not going to lie. This time I'm excited for you guys out there who can't always afford what full-time photographers can afford. And if I wasn't a full-time photographer, I couldn't afford this stuff. I could not convince my wife to let me drop money on an 85 G Master lens if I wasn't really deriving my income from photography. So I think it's great news, and I hope you guys agree. I think it's kind of on the early part of May, and that you'll be able to get your hands on it then. Again, I expect it to perform somewhere in the ballpark of what Nikon and Canon 50s can do. That would be my expectation. As soon as we see it, I'll let you know, and we'll share our results with you guys. I can't wait to do so. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. I'm going to ask for civility in this video because I haven't said anything negative about Nikon or Canon. And believe it or not, I have no hate for either of those companies. I think competition is fantastic. Fantastic for the marketplace. Nikon and Canon users should rejoice that Sony is around. They should not hate on it. Why should they rejoice? Hopefully it'll push Nikon and Canon to innovate. Competition's great for us, guys. I'm an American. capitalism has its goods and bads, but one of the good things is competitors push each other. I like the fact that we have somebody in the marketplace that's pushing. I like the fact that we have somebody who's pushing the envelope, because ultimately it should only benefit all of us. I don't expect Canon or Nikon to go bankrupt. I expect them to respond. And when they respond, Sony will respond. And then they'll go back and forth and respond and respond and respond to each other. And we as the photographers win. I think that's fantastic. So until next time, guys, keep shooting, never give up on your dreams. Find the right gear that works for you. And like I always say, guys, just remember, you only have one chance to get it right. Talk to you later. Bye. That 50 is pretty cool. Yep. Oh. Oh my gosh, trying to find that.
What?
I don't know where I'd find that.
You'll find it as you're editing it.
My wife's crazy. She tells me what to do all the time. And that's why you should have an affordable lens. Not a cheap lens, an affordable lens. And that's why affordable lenses are important. Talk to you later, guys. Bye. You guys still here? Hello? Talking to you. Hey guys, if you want to learn online with me, go to patreon.com/Jason Lanier Photography, and you will be able to continue this craziness online from anywhere on planet Earth with me. If you want to join me live, go to jasonlanier.com/workshops, and you'll get to see me in my full glory live and in person, guys. I think there's a smudge on there. Is that it? Is that it? Yeah, I got it. Talk to you later, guys. Bye. Hey man, I'm recording a video right now. Do you want me to call you back?
Yeah, call me back.
All right, Jeff, you're on YouTube. Bye.